Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Township of Oro-Medonte Council meeting for Wednesday, June 24th, 2026. And before I call the meeting to order, I just want to acknowledge that as Canada takes the pitch today at FIFA's match, we remind us of how sports unites people across backgrounds and cultures. With Canada Day just days away, it's a fitting moment to celebrate the diversity that defines our country and strengthens our community. In recognition and unity, Council is sporting our nation's colors as Canada wraps up, and I'm quite confident they will win today and secure first place in Pool B and move on to the next round. So I also want to address a comment that was made by a member of the public at the June 11th public meeting. While Council understands that some matters before us can be contentious and generate strong feelings, we cannot and will not condone comments that are discriminatory, prejudicial, or directed to any individual group or individual. Our community is strengthened by its diversity, and our council is committed to fostering an environment where every person is treated with dignity and respect. We can disagree on issues, but we must remain united, upholding the values that define who we are as a township. And the last thing I'd like to just follow up on is the housekeeping items. So if you're in council during the meeting, please turn your cell phones off. When you come to the podium to speak, and council members, when you speak during discussion, please adjust your mic so we're talking directly into it, as this meeting is being live streamed in close competition with the Canada game this afternoon. I got a feeling we're not going to get the same viewership, but being second to the national team is not a bad thing. So anyways, the Township of Oro-Medonte acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people and ancestral territory of the Huron-Wendat. The Anishinaabe include the Odawa, the Ojibwa, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. It continues today as the home for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the historic Métis community in Penetanguishene. The Anishinaabe people continue to have an enduring relationship with this land, specifically the Chippewas of Rama First Nations, the Chippewa Tri-Council, and the Williams Treaties First Nations. The Huron-Wendat Nation also continues to pay respect and protect their ancestors and heritage on this land. We honor the Indigenous history and culture that has thrived for millennia in this territory, and the treaties that bind us together as partners in the spirit of a shared, sustainable, and prosperous future. We are all treaty people. Our commitment begins with acknowledging the truth so we can move forward towards reconciliation. Which I just also want to note that Councillor Clark and Councillor Young will not be in attendance today. And may we now have a draft motion to adopt the agenda, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council meeting of Wednesday, June 24th, 2026 be received and adopted.
All in favor? That is carried. And may we have a motion to go past 4 hours if necessary?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that Rule 14.20A, as per the procedural bylaw number 2023-043, be suspended in order to allow the meeting to proceed past the 4-hour adjournment requirement if necessary.
All in favor? That is carried. And members of council, does anyone have any pecuniary interest to disclose at this time? Councillor Shell?
Yes, thank you. On item 11A, short-term rental review, I'm declaring as I own and operate a legal short-term rental in Oro-Medonte Township.
11A, okay. Any other declarations at this time? Seeing none, may we have a motion to, Madam Clerk, you've noted that 11A, Councillor Shell will be recusing himself.
Thank you, noted.
Thank you. And can we have a motion to go into closed session, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that we do now go into closed session at 3:05 PM to discuss solicitor client privilege, litigation affecting the municipality, West Half Lot 11, Concession 8.
All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. We'll see everyone in closed, and we should be back by 3:45, I'm hoping.
Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. May we have a motion to rise and report out from close, please?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that we do now rise at 3:31 p.m. and recess until 3:45, at which time we will report on items 4B.
All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion for 4B, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the confidential correspondence and confidential verbal information presented by Sean Binns, CAO and legal counsel, re-solicitor, client privilege, litigation affecting the municipality, West Half Lot 11, Concession 8 be received, and 2, that staff and legal counsel proceed as outlined.
All in favor? That is carried. And may we have a draft motion for the set of minutes, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the draft minutes of the council meeting held on Wednesday, June 10, and special council meeting held on Thursday, June 11, 2026, be received and adopted as printed and circulated.
Are there any amendments to the draft minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. So we'll skip over 6 because it's a set time for 5. We have no public meetings. Deputations. We'd like to welcome Sarah Robert Huter to the podium. And if you'd like to come and when you're ready speaks, Sarah, if you just want to adjust the mic so you're speaking directly and as we're being nationally broadcasted in conjunction with the soccer game.
You know how much I love a camera,
Yes,
Mayor
I know.
Greenlaw.
I know.
I often don't need a microphone. Thank you very much for having me today. I am without Robert. He is where he's happiest, on a bulldozer in work boots. No, actually, he's at a sleep clinic appointment in Aurelia. It's not that glamorous. Dear Mayor Greenlaw and honorable members of council, my name is Sarah Huter, and I'm here today as part of the family who own and operate Mount St. Louis Moonstone Ski Resort, and to respectfully request the Township of Oro-Medonte's support for extending the accelerated capital cost allowance to Canada's ski industry for expenditures relating specifically to manufactured products. This proposal has been submitted to the Government of Canada by our National Industry Association, the Canadian Ski Council of Canada, and also by our Provincial Ski Industry Association, the Ontario Snow Resorts Association. Mount St. Louis Moonstone has been a proud part of the Oro-Medonte community for more than 60 years. We are about to embark on our 62nd season this coming winter. The days are getting shorter, and I love to be the bearer of such great news. It's usually a very unpopular opinion. Today, the resort attracts 422,000 skier visits, which makes us the second largest ski hill for visitation in the province of Ontario and one of the top 12 ski resorts for visitation in all of Canada. And that generates significant economic activity throughout this township and surrounding region. Our guests support local restaurants, accommodations, gas stations, retailers, and service providers, while the resort directly employs hundreds of seasonal and year-round staff. As one of the largest tourism drivers in Oro-Medonte, Mount St. Louis Moonstone contributes to the township's reputation as a premier four-season destination and plays an important role in sustaining local jobs, business investment, and municipal tax revenue. To continue providing this economic benefit, ongoing investment in very expensive infrastructure is absolutely critical, if not essential. Modern chairlifts, snowmaking systems, energy-efficient equipment, and guest facilities require substantial capital investment. So while I stand here today as Sarah Huter, the owner and operator of Mount St. Louis Moonstone, I would like to bring to your attention the premier ski areas of this country that exist right in this region. So I'm here to speak on behalf of Horseshoe Valley, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Snow Valley that isn't even in this township, and also Hardwood Ski and Bike. These are premier facilities across the province. So anything that you can do to ensure that ski areas in the United States that are benefiting from these tax measures and allow immediate expensing of these investments, that Canadian operators can have that comparable access to incentives, placing our industry at a competitive advantage rather than now, which is a disadvantage. Every single item Mount St. Louis Moonstone must purchase for its business is in US dollars, and yet the revenue that we earn is in Canadian. So you can see where those general splits are. And any assistance in extending that ACCA provision to ski resort capital investments would encourage reinvestment in Canadian tourism infrastructure. It supports local manufacturing and construction industries. It creates jobs, and it strengthens the long-term sustainability of ski operators in our township, and specifically at Mount St. Louis Moonstone. Given the important economic and community contributions that our ski hill makes to Oro-Medonte, I respectfully ask Council to support this initiative and advocate for its consideration by the Government of Canada. Thank you for your time, consideration, and continued support of winter tourism and recreation in our community.
Thank you very much, Ms. Huter. Members of Council, any questions or comments for Ms. Huter at this time? Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and through you to Ms. Huter. Thank you very much for coming here today, and we certainly acknowledge the important contribution that your facility makes to our well-being. What are you looking for specifically from us vis-a-vis support?
So the Accelerated Capital Costs Investment Program has been announced by the federal government, and we would love a support letter from the mayor and council that would encourage the federal government to add the ski sector to the list of applicable benefits to that program. It was announced in the budget of 2025, and so any influence that you can encourage so that the federal government will allow us to be part of that. There are multiple instances of this in Quebec where operators' dollars of investment are matched by the federal government and also some provincial contributions. So again, I have sent a draft letter. Jeanette and Jennifer as well have that, and something as well that we can put forth to MP Doug Shipley. We've already sent one on behalf of the resort, but just to know that we are supported by our council. Every local voice, as we know federally, it kind of goes into the void until we can locally prove that we have municipal support for these efforts.
No. Supplemental?
Thank you very much. And is there a similar program or similar support from a provincial ministry?
Well, the Accelerated Capital Cost Program, specifically what we're asking for your endorsement and support for today, is a federal program. It's federal dollars because ski resorts exist across the country. So the money is federal dollars.
Okay, all right. So, but if there were a provincial program available, like
we would
sports,
support that. Support that.
I believe there's a provincial ministry. I believe we have a
Sports
delegation with them at AMO in August. So perhaps we could raise it at that time.
That would be wonderful. Deputy Mayor, thank you for that offer. And we would provide you with any information or further statistical information, both locally and specific to Oro-Medonte, as part of our economic impact here with Horseshoe and Hardwood, to make your efforts there as constructive as possible.
Yes, I believe it's Minister Neil Lumsden and
yes,
and Minister Downey, of course, and Minister Dunlop. Maybe between the three of them, something can happen.
No, thank you. Any other comments? No, I agree. I think at the end of the day, our success is using all levels of government, and between Mr. Shipley, MP Shipley, Attorney General Downey, and Minister Dunlop, collaboratively, the more people that are lobbying on behalf of the interest of businesses such as yourself in this township, it is the best route for us to have success, because everybody's looking for federal and provincial support, but we will be at AMO this year, where all parties will be there collaboratively, and we can lobby as best as we can to find out not just what you're asking us to write a letter in support of, but also to question and lobby with the province to hopefully get you support. So I do want to thank you. I think you're an amazing spokesperson for the entire industry in the area, and it comes with many great years of getting up early in the morning and talking on Rock 95. So,
Well, I get an F today because I didn't take out my gum before I stepped to the microphone. So
thank you very much, Ms. Uter, and give my best to from council to your family. It's great. I remember being a kid and growing up in Hillsdale, and Mount St. Louis was a family business that I think my father worked there at one time, and my brother as a seasonal job. So it's got a lot of heritage and tradition in the township, and it's greatly appreciated that you run the 5-star facility that you do. So thank you.
thank you, everyone, and I can't wait to see you on the slopes.
Okay. Okay, so Madam Clerk, is there a motion for this, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the deputation presented by Sarah Hooter, Mount St. Louis Moonstone Ski, request for letter of support, Accelerated Capital Cost Allowance, ACCA, to Canada's ski industry be received. 2, that section 14.80 of the procedural bylaw number 2023-043 be waived. 3, that the Township of Oro-Medonte supports the request from Mount St. Louis Moonstone on behalf of the Oro-Medonte Alpine and Nordic Ski Resorts, requesting an extension to the Accelerated Capital Cost Allowance to Canada's ski industry. 4, that the appropriate correspondence be sent to the federal government and to MP Doug Shipley, requesting this extension under the mayor's signature.
Okay, any questions regarding the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that is carried. Is there any items on the agenda? I know it's been brought to my attention, 12F, we want to move forward. Is there anything else that needs to be moved forward on the agenda because of people's time restrictions? They're not staying for the meeting or to where their item is on the agenda? Seeing none, then Madam Clerk, can we'll move 12F to immediately after open forum, if that's okay?
Thank you, noted.
Okay. And has there been any registries for open forum?
No, Mr. Mayor, there were no registrations received.
Okay. Is there anyone in the gallery that would like to speak to any of the items on the agenda today? Okay, seeing none, then may we move to 12F, please? And Ms. Grubb, would you like to start when, or sorry, Mr. Benz, would you like to start and then we can follow up, please?
Maybe I'll just do an introduction, Mr. Mayor. I think that the report is pretty straightforward. There has been a long-standing history here with the OFI and some obligations that have been previously outlined in a memorandum of understanding, and there has been some advancements with tours at the church over the past number of years. But there's some fundamental issues, I think, from an overall governance and reporting perspective that have been articulated in the report, that until those things are addressed, we've had to discontinue the partnership. So it's not to say that that partnership can't be reinstated, but there does need to be an accountability there for any fundraising activity and what those funds are being directed to, particularly if it's for a township asset and associated with the township. So that's really kind of the concern, and it's not to provide any allegations that there's any wrongdoing here. It's just that as part of those partnerships, there's a level of due diligence that we need to ensure that those governance structures are in place. And despite a number of requests, we as staff haven't seen those. So we've discontinued the partnership until that comes forward, which means there won't be tours as outlined in the report, and staff will come back with some recommendations for council's consideration.
Okay, no, thank you very much. And I do want to acknowledge Miss Janie Cooper Wilson, who is in the gallery, and she has been a fantastic supporter and her family's descendants of the African Church, and has done amazing work over time with the church and other initiatives throughout Ontario. So welcome to the chamber, and I think this is simply just a matter of we just need some clarity on some stuff in order that we can move forward collaboratively and continue the partnerships we've had with the church over the years. Would that be a fair summation? Okay, perfect. So is there any other questions from members of council in regards to this matter? Ms. Grubb, did you have anything you wanted to add at this time? Okay, so Madam Clerk, may we have a motion for this item, please?
Mr. Mayor, this item can be dealt with in conjunction with the other reports to be received under heading 12.
Okay, and I'll just put a check mark not to review it again
Thank you.
later in the meeting. Okay, so
Mr. Mayor, would you like to deal with item 12D as well? That's under reports for information. I understand that there's representatives online to make a presentation as well. That would be 12D.
okay, that's fine. Item 12D, you're bound to get me confused here by jumping all over, but I'll take your direction. You're the GPS monitor for the meeting today. So, and who, Chris Scheffel?
Yes.
Would you like to continue, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and members of the public. This report provides council with background and governance context for today's presentation. No decisions are being made at this time. The township manages a diverse investment portfolio in collaboration with RBC Dominion Securities and One Investment Program. This structure supports a balance of capital preservation, liquidity, and stable returns aligned with the township's long-term financial and asset management objectives. From a governance perspective, the township currently operates under the Municipal Act legal list framework with the option to consider a prudent investor approach in the future. We've previously heard a presentation from Terry Cheney with RBC that illustrated a potential investment approach operating within the legal list framework. Today's presentation from One Investment is for information purposes only, and it's intended to provide council with the relevant information regarding the consideration of the prudent investor approach. Its purpose is to help council understand what it means to adopt the prudent investor standard, the structure, the governance of the One Investment Program, the investment options available under both legal list and prudent investor framework, and the role of the joint investment boards in supporting prudent investor implementation. The presentation is also intended to provide market context and illustrate a potential investment approach. However, it does not represent a recommendation to council regarding any current or future investment decisions. At this time, I would like to introduce Donna Hedridge, Executive Director of MFOA and Co-President of One Investment, and Martin LeClaire, Investment Portfolio Manager with PPHNN Institutional, who will now proceed with their presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm just wondering if you can hear me.
Yes, we can. Please
Okay,
go ahead.
Great. Well, thank you very much for having us, and thank you very much for the presentation. Mayor, council, and staff, we're very happy to be here. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Donna Hedridge, and I'm the Executive Director of Municipal Finance Officers Association, or MFOA. As well, I am co-president of One Investment. Joining me today is Martin Leclerc from PH&N Institutional. Marty, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. So One Investment is actually a not-for-profit organization owned by two not-for-profits that I hope you're very familiar with. One is CHUMS, which is a subsidiary of MFOA, and the other one is LAS, which is actually a subsidiary, the business arm of AMO. So if we can go to the next slide, please. As we've talked about, there's actually two different ways to invest. One is the legal list and one is the prudent investor. And I'll expand upon these a little bit later. So if we can go to the next slide. So Ontario Regulation 43897 outlines both ways of investing, whether it be legal list or prudent investor. When you look at legal list, basically what this is, it's a list of investments that you're allowed to invest in. So for example, if you had an investment that wasn't on the list, you're not able to invest in it. The regulation gets updated about every 5 years, but it really doesn't keep up with the capital markets. All the products here are Canadian oriented, which is very good for nationalism and patriotism, but it's not always the greatest for the investment structure. The Canadian economy is very focused in certain sectors, has a concentration in resources. The phrase that is often used is rocks, trees, and bonds. But that being said, all of the investments included on the legal list are very, very high investment quality. If we look to the other side, which is where we're going to spend most of our time today, it really deals with prudent investor, which was added in 2019. And really what it looks at is what would a prudent person invest in? You're allowed to invest in any security, but there are certain conditions that are attached to it. Next slide, please. So One Investment has about 200 investors, municipal investors, or about 40% of the sector, with 21 being in prudent investor. We have about $5.8 billion as of the end of May, and as you can see, about 2.9 of that relates to prudent investor. So next slide. So why is prudent investing important? And I think the slide or the picture on the right says it all. Prudent investor has a much wider opportunity for investment products. In fact, that legal list, if it were in proportion, would be about 3%, would be the Canadian economy, and the legal list is even smaller. Why prudent investor is important is it increases access to investment products. There is better diversification. Parts of the Act require independent expertise and subject matter experts. There's a fiduciary oversight of an independent board, which prioritizes, which depoliticizes the investment decisions, and it allows for better risk-adjusted return in the long term. The other big benefit that we see is it really takes investments from the side of a desk of the treasurer and actually puts it at the forefront of an independent board that is actually specializing in investments. Next slide. So there's some very specific requirements. So when the prudent investor was added to the regulation and the Municipal Act in 2019, the Act requires that you must exercise the care, skill, diligence, and judgment that a prudent investor would use. You must obtain advice. Municipalities must consider their planning criteria. So I want to pause just for a moment. That really refers to when you're looking at money, is it short-term or long-term? One of the big issues that comes in here is your capital plan, your asset management planning. What are your long-term needs from a capital perspective? It requires you to diversify that appropriate, that is to the extent it's appropriate for general economic conditions. So what does that mean? It's the old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And finally, long-term money is invested via an investment board or a joint investment board, which is very important, again, emphasizing that independence of the investment decision and the expertise. Next slide. I'm going to, when you opt into the prudent investment standard, the Municipal Act states that the care and control remain with the treasurer, except for money not required immediately. When you look at a prudent investor, as a municipality, there are two steps that you must take. One is to actually pass a bylaw, and the second is the investment policy statement. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in detail. But though I do want to emphasize that One Investment has all the tools and the templates to help you with this work. Next slide. So when you do look under PI, the care and management of your investments actually remain with the treasurer, except for money not required immediately. We use the acronym MNRI. MNRI is flexible. It is determined by council. And what it looks at is, for example, some council says our long-term money is over 2 years. Some say it's over 3 years. And it's actually part of your investment policy statement. What one does is we actually work with the treasurer and with PH&N to help you identify what MNRI is. Really, this is long-term money. For your short-term money or money required immediately, it remains with the treasurer and under the legal list. So think stuff, investment opportunities such as bank accounts, GICs, etc. Next slide. And if we can go down one more. So there's various options to get to prudent investor. If you look at the left, it is the most difficult, with the right being the easiest. On option one, it's not available to you right now, but if you have over $100 million in MNRI, in the opinion of the treasurer, or $50 million in net financial assets on Schedule 70 of the financial information return, you can actually set up your own board. Currently, there are only 3 in the province: Toronto, Ottawa, and Barrie. In option 2, you can band together with other municipalities to establish a joint investment board. Or 3, which is our favorite, is obviously you can join the One Investment, One Joint Investment Board. This is a turnkey solution that was set up in 2020. It is a municipal services corporation, so it was required to have all the same requirements as a council. And when we consider your plan, we are working on behalf of you and your council. Next slide. So this is diving down a little deeper about what is required to join the One Investment Board or to join PI. If you want to join PI, you must pass a bylaw to give effect to that. And as well, we have templates and reports to help you with that process. You need to put in place a new investment policy statement that reflects the long-term needs, and it also allows you to put any guardrails around your investing. Once it's in place, you direct staff to work with One to put in place a new investment plan, and that is approved by the One Investment Board. It is the One Investments Board's responsibility to oversee the investments. It's PH&N's job to invest your money, and we report back to your municipality. We can go down 2 slides, please. So right now we have 21 municipalities participating in PI. There was actually 4 added at the end of May, and I'm happy to announce as of Tuesday, we passed the $3 billion mark. So when you look at these investments, you have a number of large municipalities such as the District of Muskoka, City of Thunder Bay or region of Durham, but there's also smaller ones as well. I think around town of Bracebridge and probably town of Huntsville, around the same size as you. Our smallest municipality actually has a population of under 2,000. What I want to emphasize, this is not dependent on. Is it going to be noisy? Okay, thank you. Sorry. This is not dependent on size, but it's the long-term investment horizon. And it's really emphasis on long-term investing. Next slide. So just want to finish off by presenting. This is the board of the One Joint Investment Board members. Their bios are actually available on the One Investment website. I do want to make a note that there are 3 treasurers. Treasurers are the only positions that's allowed to sit on an investment board, and they can only comprise 25% in total. There are no other staff or members of council allowed to sit on the joint investment board. Now, at this point, I'm going to move it over to Marty.
Thank you, Donna. And I will say that you all look beautiful wearing red. And I'm quite happy not to be on camera because I'm wearing beige and white. I'll be fairly quick here. Just a couple slides to basically tell you how we work with clients, what's in it for them. PHNN Institutional, probably not a brand name that you have heard in the past. PHNN was acquired by RBC back in 2008, and we became the institutional specialist within RBC Global Asset Management. So when we went through this competitive process, I think there's a couple of things why we were selected. Number one, certainly the scale. RBC Global Asset Management now is approaching $1 trillion under management. So the footprint really globally is important. So we have all the resources in terms of money resources, investment team resources, people resources to deploy to this initiative. There's certainly the experience. We've been working with municipalities across Canada for quite some time now. We do have, I would say, a similar partnership with MFA of British Columbia. And we manage on behalf of municipalities about $8.5 billion right now. But I think that possibly the most important reason why we were selected is simply the fiduciary alignment. This is how institutional asset management work. There's a fiduciary alignment. We're not here to sell a product. We're here to build investment solutions. We have an obligation. We do, and you have an obligation of results, an obligation of care, and that's how we work with our client. On this slide here, just the one before. If we can just go back. Thank you. So what we see here, essentially, we like to think that we are an extension of our clients' finance teams. We certainly do provide, let's call it, human resources scale to the municipalities. What we basically show here is how human resources are deployed within the organization. You know, what's relevant to a municipal partnership. So see this as a governance structure. You know, as an investment firm, it's very important for us to have every single function and responsibility being, you know, super well defined, measured, and controlled. So at the very top, and this is really how we work with municipal investors, at the very top, this is myself and my colleagues, and we essentially represent the interests of municipalities within the large firm that is RBC Global Asset Management. And our role really is to leverage the expertise of portfolio modeling, the office of the CIO, fund management team, even operations, right? I mean, this is important. Operations are important. We have absolutely no tolerance for risk. This is where reputational risk can arise. And so our role is to leverage the various expertise that you see here displayed on this page. On the next page, please. So I did mention a very large and broad investment platform, highlighted in red. Nothing that you don't know yet. This is what's permitted by the legal list. Everything else is what we have access using Prudent Investor. I mean, Canada represents about 3% of the capital market footprint, right? So this is not a lot. So the Prudent Investor really help us, you know, unlock opportunities. So when you see this, I mean, we're not using all of these strategies right now with our clients, right? But this is available. Just to give you the breadth of possibilities. And this is as much as, you know, when you look at this is for return-seeking purposes, but it's as important to see this as for risk mitigating purposes, right? Canada has been performing extremely well lately, but other markets, you know, there's usually a rotation in the higher performers. So this is what the platform is allowing to do is seek opportunities where they are. On the next slide, please. I like to believe that our clients are at the center of everything. I mean, there is certainly no fiduciary alignment if it's only about us, RBCM, selling you a product. So it really starts with you, and this is what we're showing here. Donna did mention the investment policy. She talked about the investment plan, and this is where it all starts. We need to understand who you are in order to build the right solution for you. So it starts with the investment objective, right? What do you want to do with the money? What's your time horizons for whatever project you have in mind? Maybe you have more than one time horizon. Maybe you have more different products, different projects with different time horizons. Liquidity needs, we need to know about that. And anything that makes you special, your special circumstances, right? What makes you unique? So this is all captured in a document, call it a governance trail, that is absolutely important, and this is reviewed annually. So this partnership, it's not selling a product, then we go off. No, there's a constant communication process with the investor. On the next slide, please. Thank you. So on the one hand, we have who you are as an investor, and on the other hand, this is at a fairly high level how we build, the various steps to build a portfolio that is customized to your need. It all starts with a capital market assumption, and then again, the market evolves, right? So we build our capital market assumptions. What's the long-term expected return for all of these asset classes that we've seen on the previous page? What is the volatility for these asset classes? What's the downside risk, right? So what does a really bad year look like? All of these inputs are very important for us. These capital market assumptions are reviewed quarterly because it's not stable, right? Things change, correlation changes. And so we need to have this market-aware solution. Capital market exposures, these are the asset classes that are available, but also approved by the one chip, right? So obviously we're not working with 200 various strategies. Right now we're working probably with around 15 to 18 different strategies. And then the model constraints, we use various modeling techniques like modeling portfolio theory, Monte Carlo simulation, factor-based modeling, and all that comes in together to build various portfolios for our investors. On the next page, please. And the next one. Thank you. So in practice, what does it mean? Well, in practice, these are the JIB-approved model portfolios that we currently have available for municipal investors. A couple of things to observe here. Number one, PI or prudent investor does not necessarily mean taking more risk, right? It usually means taking better risk adjusted return. But also, most importantly, I just want to say that portfolio A is a portfolio that consists only of fixed income instruments, right? So PI does not mean necessarily taking on more risk. And then you have the various gradation of risk from A to G. And also to observe, we have very good diversification within the fixed income component, which are the defensive assets, and a very good diversification within the growth assets or the equities. For those who are willing to go there, who are ready to adopt alternative strategies, we do have Canadian core real estate and global infrastructures, which, they do, we love them because they are uncorrelated with other asset classes, but they do provide some inflation protection. I will just say this to end on this page here. All of these models are reviewed at least annually. As you will know, market, they do evolve, things change, and so we need to make sure that all of these portfolios remain appropriate and remain optimal given the current market conditions. On the next page, please. And that's the proof is in the pudding, as they say, right? So what we did here is we took the riskier portfolio, that the JIB approved, and we just go back 20 years. So it's back testing. I'm not crazy about back testing. I prefer to look forward, but the back testing here at least gives us an idea of how it performs over time. And 20 years at least gives us the ability to capture the pandemic, high inflation periods, high volatility, especially during the great financial crisis. And so you end up with capturing all of these risk events, and prudent does not always outperform legal list, right? Which is the blue line, which is just legal list bonds. But over time, it gives you an idea of the performance differential. And so depending on your risk tolerance, you can imagine that you could fairly significantly improve the return of a legal list. You would fall between the 200,000 and 400,000 here, depending on the portfolio that you would select. And on the next page, please, and we can move to questions. So not only it's important to diversify within the defensive assets, fixed income, and the growth assets, but we also like to diversify within one asset class. So for example, Canadian equities, I mean, at RBC GAM, we probably have 20 different strategies. And the benefit of using these 4 strategies for Canadian equities, you have different teams bringing different views. They complement one another. When one is outperforming, maybe one is underperforming, but when the market corrects or when the market changes, different teams will perform better. And this is the kind of complementary, this is the kind of diversification that we're seeking for. And for each of these, especially in the growth assets, we like to have low volatility component so that when the market corrects or come down, well, these strategies, they tend to protect the portfolio well. So there is a lot that goes into building a resilient portfolio. And what we're trying to capture here with these very short slides is to give you an idea of the work that goes into this, right? So, couple point of importance here. All of these funds, they are Series O, so there's no investment management fees charged at the fund level. Also of importance, because of municipalities, you never know when you're going to need the money. Things change. They can change quickly. So it was of the utmost importance for us to build very liquid portfolios. So everything is daily liquidity. And there's no penalty. There's no transaction cost either, right? So, and when the market goes up, I mean, you own it, right? So you own the full performance. You're not capped. You own the full performance of all of these asset classes. So this is essentially what we're bringing to the table here, and that's going to be my last comment, is when we started to think about this prudent investor partnership with one, and that goes back almost 4 years ago now, really the question that we ask is, what are the best practices that we employ with the most sophisticated and successful institutional investors, and how can we deliver this to the municipal world in Ontario that is applicable for both large and small investors? And so this is what we just presented to you. So you get all the same science that we put with all the institutional investors, and you, I think, get it at a fraction of the cost, honestly. So that's it. That's my few minutes, my few observations. Happy to jump to questions.
Okay. Thank you very much for that presentation. And council members, I've opened the floor for any questions or comments regarding this. Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you very much, Donna and Martin, for your presentation. I have a couple of questions for you. I noticed on one slide you have, is it strictly ESG investing? There was a notation on one of the bottoms of the slide, but it didn't have any sort of definition of whether you are just strictly ESG investing, or maybe you could just clarify that a bit.
So yeah, thanks. That's an excellent question. So at RBC GAM, ESG integration is done across all asset classes and all strategies where relevant. So we do have a significant responsible investment department, 20 people spread across Vancouver, Toronto, and London, and they are overseeing the implementation of ESG integration. And I would say even more than that, now we also have the ability to measure the carbon footprint of all of our strategies, and we have reporting to that effect. So short answer, yes, ESG is integrated across.
Okay, thank you. Supplemental?
Thank you. And just a supplemental with regards to fees. You say there's no management fee, there's no trade or transaction cost. How is it that you're compensated for the work that you do?
So we charge an investment management fee at the top. So at the top of the portfolio, all of the participating municipalities, for the purpose of calculating fees, they're all put together and aggregated, meaning that a small investors will pay the same investment management fee that a very large investor pays. So everybody benefits from scale.
Supplemental?
Sorry, just one more question then. Do we have an idea of what that average fee would be?
I'll turn to, so the investment management agreement has been signed with one investment, so I'll turn to Donna for the answer on this one.
They will vary depending on what model you're in. What I can do is I can provide that supplemental information to staff as a follow-up, if that's okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. No super supplemental? No? Okay. Okay. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yes, thank you very much. An excellent presentation. It's great to hear that we have these alternatives and they're producing good long-term benefits. I did want to follow up on Councillor Hutchison's question because I noted as well that there was a socially responsible, fossil fuel-free ESG thematic offering. Is that a subclass or a class of the 7 range or whatever the range of equity versus market equities were? Or
yeah, no, that's a good question too. Thanks for bringing this up. We have come up with a number of fossil fuel free strategies, both in the fixed income and the equity space. These strategies are available to municipalities. So it's a question of whether or not it's important to you. And some of these strategies, to be honest, have been developed, because our client in British Columbia, it was very important to them. And so we've developed these strategies and now we're happy to offer them to other clients. So they are available. And if that's something that you want to consider, we can certainly share information about that.
Okay, thank you. And do you have another? No, that's it? Yeah, thank you. Any other members of council have any questions for Donna or Martin? Seeing none, Ms. Scheffel, do you have any other comments you'd like to, or Mr. Benz?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Maybe I'll round out on behalf of staff. And we talked about kind of the long-term financial plan and linking to our asset management plan. Obviously, this is an important piece for that long-term financial strategy. We do have, I think, some fairly significant opportunity with the compensation that we received through the Barrie boundary adjustment. The presentation spoke a lot about the policy and the bylaws and the resolution, and next steps will be that staff will, you've now had 2 presentations. Staff will be coming back with an updated report on the 15th of July, outlining some recommendations, both for policy amendments, bylaw amendments, and then the timelines. The process here, as you learned today, does require enactment of bylaws and then approval through the board. So we're trying to kind of line this up with our year end to keep our financial statements clean, that we can get that direction from council now in advance of year end, and then move forward with an updated investment strategy, policy, and bylaw going into next year. And it has been quite a bit of time since we've updated that document, so it's aligns really nicely, I think, with our strategic plan and the long-term financial plan.
And so that stuff would likely come sometime in November.
The report would come on July 15th with those recommendations, and we're in the process of consolidating our reserves and a number of other pieces. So we'll lay out kind of the timeline and chronology of the various options that are available to council for consideration.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Laval.
Yes, thank you very much. And this question for staff. I did hear the term Municipal Services Corporation in the presentation, and I'm wondering whether that's something that's necessary or it's just something that was mentioned because that's one vehicle in which to handle it.
One Investment is structured as an MSC, so it is a not-for-profit branch that operates as an MSC. So.
Understood.
Okay. Oh, thank you. And just before I thank Donna and Martin and move on, Ms. Sheffel, did you have anything you would like to say at this time? No? Okay, well, thank you very much for the report. Donna and Martin, thank you very much for your time in answering our questions, and thank you for the presentation. And we look forward to seeing the new strategy roll out and move forward with our investments.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so Madam Clerk, that motion will just be a part of the entire package, or do you want to do this separately?
That's correct. It'll be part of the package.
Okay, so, and just as we stick handle through for efficiencies, because we have members from Georgian Developments here, can we move to item 12A now? Would that make sense? And sorry to make you get up, Mr. Van Valkorn moved to a mic, but I should have sent you a memo. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call an audible at the last minute, but would you like to provide a summary of comments on this matter, please?
Thank you, Worship. Good afternoon, members of council. Yes, we are joined this afternoon by Mr. Jamie Massey, who is the President and CEO of Georgian International, and Mr. Jay Beach, who is the Vice President of Development for Georgian Communities. So they are here. If there's any questions that come up that are beyond my ability to answer, hopefully they would step in. So my report, Your Worship, is an information report to give an update to members of council on the status of the plan of subdivision application for the southeast quadrant of Craighurst and the commercial block site plan application. And first slide, please. So just want to give you a little context in terms of what we're dealing with here. So this is a concept plan of the village of Craighurst, basically showing the settlement area. There's one major intersection of Penetanguishene Road going north-south and Horseshoe Valley Road east-west. We're going to be talking about the subdivision application and the site plan on the southeast corner. The southwest corner is a parcel of land that was recently acquired by Georgian Communities, and that's just shown in concept only. The development to the north is Craighurst North, and that phase 1A and 1B have been approved, and the other areas are still subject to further approval. So just to give you a context of the overall Craighurst community. Next slide, please. So the draft plan of subdivision was received and was circulated for comment, and we're in the process of developing draft plan conditions. It's a 7-block plan a subdivision with an internal road. There's a commercial block that we'll be speaking about in a few minutes. There's residential blocks, and there's an environmental protection block on the far right-hand side. We are very close to finalizing the draft approval conditions. There's a couple of items that we're still working on. One of the items is the width of the street, the right-of-way of the street. The developer has proposed a right-of-way width of 18 meters. The municipality's standard is 20 meters. The asphalt width is the same. It's just the boulevard width has been narrowed a bit. So we're working through with the developer on options on how best to address the standard, and we anticipate a resolution very, very shortly. The second item we're working through is with respect to the wastewater servicing strategy for Craighurst. There were certain assumptions made when the wastewater treatment plant was put in and the initial servicing strategy was put in. Those are all very valid assumptions, but things have changed. And with the addition of the quadrant in the southwest, and so we are working with respect to the working with the developer on the servicing strategy to ensure that when the lands are developed, that there's adequate wastewater servicing capacity provided for the new residents that are proposed. And ultimately, the municipality will be taking over these works, and we want to ensure that whatever is designed and engineered is acceptable to the municipality when the municipality takes it over. So this slide shows various phases. And the area in pink and green is phase 1A and 1B. Those are which has been approved, and Georgian Communities is actively selling units in those two phases, and the other phases are proposed. And depending on market conditions and whatnot, we'll see applications to start with development of phase 2A and 2B. Given the uncertainty with respect to the servicing, the area kind of in beige there, 2C, that's going to be put on hold pending resolution of the servicing. So just to make sure that there's sufficient servicing capacity. I want to turn our attention now to the site plan application for the commercial block. And this site plan application was submitted in March. Next slide, please. And the site plan application is it's for a commercial block. There's consists of 45,740 square feet of commercial development anchored by a new food land there with some adjoining units. There's 8 units in total. We've been working through the site plan approval process, and draft approval was granted to the site plan earlier this month. So the developer is currently working through their draft approval conditions, and I expect a second submission to come in soon. So the developer would like to see a site plan agreement or development agreement executed by September. So we're well underway, and barring something unforeseen, I see that as an achievable objective. So there are a couple of things that the developer needs to address with respect to the site plan. The first is with respect to the setbacks of the proposed building in the far left-hand corner. It's hard to see on that slide, but you can see the heavy black line. That's the new property limit of the development after the road widenings are taken by the County of Simcoe. Penetanguishene Road and Horseshoe Valley Road are both county roads, and as a condition of approval, they've requested significant road widenings. And I think you can see the dashed mark with that was the original property boundary, and you can see how the black mark or the black boundary has significantly reduced that. So the building in the corner there does not meet the setback requirements of the county. So the developer is working with the county through their process to to get that location of the building approved, and we expect that to occur in the next little while. The second item is just archaeological work that's being done at the intersection of Penetanguishene Road and Horseshoe Valley Road. This was the last portion of the overall site to have an archaeological survey done. So the developer is working through that, and will be preparing a report and submitting it to the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Gaming for review and filing. And we, staff have recommended that a hold be put on that portion of the site pending acceptance of the report by the ministry. Finally, Your Worship, members of council, later in your agenda, there is a proposed zoning amendment that deals with the Craighurst Crossing development. It implements the requirements for the draft approved site plan, as well as the balance of the development, which is 166 unit residential development spread over 8 buildings. So that bylaw is now properly before council. Planning staff have reviewed it against the site plan here, confirmed that the exceptions are reasonable, and it's now before council. Your Worship, that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions that members of council may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Boncourt. Members of council, I will open the floor for any questions. Councillor Schell? No? Councillor Bard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to Mr. Vadaboncourt. So you're working with the developer over the width of this internal roads. Is there a boulevard? Like it said 20 meters with a boulevard, then it said 18 meters, and it didn't say with a boulevard. Is the boulevard still there?
If I understand the question, the impact is from 20 to 18 impacts the boulevard width.
Oh, okay.
The asphalt width stays the same. So the traveled portion of the road width stays the same. It's just the boulevard width on either side, a meter on either side, is narrowed.
Okay, thank you. I'm just worrying about snow, I guess, storage based on the last couple of winters we had, that's all. I'm sure that's something that you're in discussions about.
Through you, Your Worship, yeah, that's what staff is dealing with, is the concerns with respect to snow storage along the boulevard.
Okay. Any other questions? Do we have a time, an expectation of the archaeology report coming back? And will that delay the development of the southeast corner building?
Your Worship, Mr. Beach may be in a better position to answer the first part of that question, and perhaps the second part as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, and members of council, staff, thanks. I can't confirm.
Just because everyone wants to hear your radio voice and say your name, so you have to announce your name, that's all.
Well, compliment Jay Beach, Vice President of Developments for Georgia Communities. Compliments on the right shirt, red shirt, sorry, I should say. It's 2-1 right now, so you know. The archaeological works, I received good news this morning that the field works have been completed as of today. We've got authorization through the ministry and through our archaeological consultant at Santec that we can backfill the property. The report will take approximately, I'm just looking at the email here, before July, take about 12 weeks for the report. Okay. We do not anticipate that it will hold us up in the long run for the occupancy of the plaza we're proposing.
Okay. And while you're there, the setback triangle, is that what the distance issue is with the corner lot building? Is that what is the concern?
Well, the setbacks are a county requirement. We've got a variance and an approval recently through our team that we have to distribute through George. Yeah. And so that has been solved.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. That's all great news.
Great,
thank you. You pass and you can return to your seat if you want. Members of council, is there any other questions? Or no, it's all good news, and thank you very much for the update, Mr. Van Boncourt, and thank you, Mr. Massey and Mr. Beach, for showing up to answer questions. Look forward to seeing this development fully get rolled out and developed and move on to the next project. So good luck with everything. Thank you for all your efforts and cooperation. Okay, so Madam Clerk, I'm going to suggest we break, because at 5 o'clock we want to do the awards to the senior citizen and the citizen of the year, and it's going to take IT some time to set up. So we'll take a break for 5 to 10 minutes till IT, and then we'll come back, council, and then after the awards, we'll have another short break, and then we'll finish off the remainder of the agenda, okay? Very much, Madam Clerk. Welcome back, everybody, and this is a great time of celebration in our township. We have so many amazing people, and today we get to recognize 3 individuals. First, we're going to welcome this year, each year, as part of the Paramedic Service Week, the counties of Simcoe Paramedic Services invited a local 5 and 6 grade students to enter a contest called Paramedic for a Day. It's a great initiative that gives young residents a chance to learn about the importance of paramedics' play in our community, while also inspiring the next generation of healthcare professionals. The students were asked to write a short essay describing what it means to be a paramedic. This year's recipient of the award is an Oro-Medonte resident who is here today with us, Ishani Sharma. Ishani is 10 years old. She loves reading, baking, singing, and she uses these talents to give back to others. Last year, she baked more than 150 cookies and raised over $1,700 for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And I'm not done yet. Over the holidays, she donated children's books to the Sick Kid Foundation. She also shared her love of music by singing for seniors in local retirement homes. Ishani says she was inspired to enter the Paramedic for a Day contest because of the bravery and dedication that paramedics show in serving our community. Ishani, we are happy you're here with us today. It's wonderful to see young people like you share with the community and all the great things you do. So at this time, I want to bring Ishani forward to read the letter that she wrote that made her the recipient of Paramedic for a Day. So please come forward, Ishani. You know what? Oh, she did.
Oh, do you need the podium so you can put that down?
Here, you want?
Can you go?
Hello. Okay. What is the definition of a paramedic? The Merriam-Webster Dictionary says it is a specially trained medical technician licensed to provide a wide range of emergency services before or during transportation to a hospital. I believe that the word superhero should be added to that definition. When I was 6 months old, I was very sick and I had to be flown from RVH to Sick Kids in an orange helicopter with my mom. I needed very urgent medical care. While I don't remember what happened because I was a baby, my parents get emotional when they tell me how caring and patient the helicopter paramedics were in helping me feel better during such a terrifying emergency. They helped us all stay calm and kept me safe. Being a paramedic means you comfort people when they are in distress or sick. Paramedics have to go through a lot of medical training because they need to know how to handle all sorts of emergency situations, what medication someone may need right away, how to help a patient urgently, how to calm someone down and get the information they need from them, and take them safely to the hospital. Paramedics are very hardworking and devoted to helping people get better. They are superheroes who are kind, caring, and intelligent. It takes a very special kind of person to be a paramedic.
Thank you. So, on behalf of Oro-Medonte Council, we have a gift for you. 6 months of chocolate bars. And we'd also like to present you with the certificate and congratulate you and thank you for everything you do. You're a great role model for the township. So everyone, come on, yeah, and you read much better than I do. I was hoping, but no, this is great. And just so you know, all the recipients will make time after. We'll break after the ceremony so everyone can take pictures for family and. Okay, so the second recognition today, we'd like to recognize and acknowledge the 2026 Ontario Senior of the Year, Mr. Paul Crooks. Paul Crooks is a lifelong resident in Oro-Medonte. He proudly calls the village of East Oro home. Now, Paul Crooks, I learned something in researching this. It's called Simpson's Quarters, but I always thought it was called Crooks's Corner. But since retiring his career at Royal Victoria Hospital, Paul has devoted time and energy to restoring St. Mark's Cemetery. With great care, he has taken on the important work of cleaning the grounds and restoring the headstones at the historic site in East Oro, at the corner of the 11th line and 15th, 16th side road. Many of the headstones had fallen, some were broken, and others had slowly become buried over time after years of being left undisturbed in the ground. At his own expense, Paul purchased the materials needed for restoration and repair, as well as the supplies to clear brush and care for the property. Paul has truly made this his mission to preserve and honor Oro-Medonte's community history. To ensure the work was done properly, he took time to research best practices and consulted with local monument company on how to safely restore and repair the headstones. Paul has already given what is likely well over 1,000 volunteer hours to this project, and he believes it will take 5 years to complete the work that he has encountered. That's dedication, sir. I also understand that Paul has even designed his own pulley system to safely lift and reset toppled headstones, an example of the toughness and ingenuity that he has brought to his work. I would also be remiss if I did not acknowledge Cindy, Paul's wife. She shares his deep passion for this cemetery project and has been a constant source of encouragement and support. When Paul becomes immersed in his work, Cindy is there to make sure that he is taken care of and is fed. It is also worth noting Paul and Cindy have the Pioneer Simpson Cemetery located on their property. Although it had been registered, it had never been licensed. Paul has worked closely with Bereavement Authority Ontario to have a portion of their land officially recognized as a licensed cemetery, and he plans to install a memorial stone in honor of the Simpson family. So Paul, on behalf of council and the entire community, thank you for your dedication, generosity, and hard work in helping to preserve the history and natural beauty that makes Oro-Medonte such a special place. So if you'd like to come up, I'd like to congratulate you on this great achievement and the many more years of support. No, it's not a DUI.
Oh, that's fine, yeah.
No.
No, you said it all there.
Everyone gets 15 minutes.
Well. Well, okay. Thank you, Mayor, Council, and the advisory group. I am truly humbled to receive this recognition. When we started the restoration project at St. Mark's Anglican Cemetery, we weren't looking for awards, we were looking for a history. Many of you know the area is East Oro, but to the families buried there since the mid-1800s, it was Simpson's Corners. Over the decades, time and nature had taken their toll. We found marble stones dating back to the 1860s that had been pushed out of their bases and swallowed by the overgrowth. This project was a labor of love by the friends and family of East Oro. We believe while these pioneers are gone, they should never be forgotten. Seeing those names, the founders of our community, back in the rightful place is the greatest reward I could ask for. Okay, thank you.
And now for our third award, which is for the Oro-Medonte Citizen of the Year, is Marg Patterson. Marg Patterson serves as the treasurer in the Craighurst Women's Institute and secretary of the South Kempenfelt Women's Institute. She fulfills both roles with care, dedication, and exceptional attention to detail. Marg is a devoted volunteer in Craighurst, always ready to lend a hand at a community event such as the corn roast and in fundraising efforts for the St. John's Church. She also gives generously to neighboring communities, serving as secretary on the board of directors in the Aurelian District Literacy Council and volunteering for many years at the Grove Park Cafe in Barrie, where she supports seniors. Marg has also shared her time and talents through Alzheimer's Society gift wrapping programs, the Days for Girls sewing initiatives in Barrie, and fundraising efforts for Smiles for Amanda. In addition, she volunteers at Willow Creek Baptist Church and helps prepare meals for Youth Haven in Barrie, further reflecting her caring spirit. Marg is also active with the Bass Lake Snow Riders, where she serves as treasurer, and as former Bell pioneer, she organizes monthly lunches that help bring people together. Marg's kindness, generosity, and tireless service to her community and beyond truly make her someone special. Through her many roles and countless hours of volunteer service, she has touched the lives of so many and made a truly lasting difference to all. On behalf of Council, it is with great pride and heartfelt appreciation that we congratulate Marg on being named the 2026 Oro-Medonte Citizen of the Year, an honor that truly is well earned and richly deserved. So please come up and So in closing this, I want to thank everyone for coming. I especially want to thank the three individuals we recognized tonight for all the great work you've done. But that shows what Oro-Medonte is made up of. You know, we're a special place. Community is number one. And you know what? Let's continue that legacy. And thank you, Mr. Crooks, for, I think it's important that we recognize those who have passed and that their burial places are maintained properly. So that's about preserving the culture and heritage of Oro-Medonte and where we were and where we've evolved to, while maintaining the agricultural character in small town Canada atmosphere. So we're going to break for about 10 minutes in order that family and friends can get up and have pictures with the award recipients, and then we'll reconvene into our meeting. You're welcome to stick around to the end of the meeting, although it may not be as exciting as the last 15 minutes. So thank you for your time.
Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Welcome back, everybody. That was great to see the families and friends that showed up to support everyone and the great work by our residents of Oro-Medonte. So we're now at Reports of Municipal Officers 11A. Mr. Van Barcourt, would you like to provide summary comments? Oh, and I apologize. Councillor Schell, did you wanted to say?
Yes, I wish to excuse myself.
Okay, thank you. So and we'll come get you when we this matter is done. Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Van Barcourt, would you like to provide summary comments, please?
Thank you, Worship. Members of Council, yes, I'll be speaking to Report 11A, which is an update on the short-term rental accommodation and bed and breakfast establishment licensing bylaw. I'm joined this afternoon by Ms. Karen Landry, who is an associate with Paul Duray and Associates. She is attending remotely. Staff worked with Ms. Landry in the creation of the bylaw. In your agenda package is a staff report that outlines the proposed changes to the licensing bylaw. A copy of the draft licensing bylaw that has red line changes showing that the changes that are being recommended, and a chart that outlines an implementation approach and a recommended level of service for the administration of the licensing bylaw and the enforcement of the bylaw. The licensing bylaw was last before council last August, and at that time the bylaw was granted preliminary approval by council. The bylaw was to come back at the next available meeting. However, it was determined that the bylaw would be held until the appeals to the STRA policies in the official plan were resolved, so that there could be alignment between the official plan and the licensing bylaw. The OLT approved the STRA policies at the end of March, and staff are here with a proposed licensing bylaw to outline the changes that have been made since the bylaw was last before you. From the Ontario Land Tribunal decision on the STRA policies, the concept of secondary use has been added to the licensing bylaw with two proposed amendments. Number one, the definition of short-term rental accommodation has been amended to ensure consistency between the definition of STRA and the licensing bylaw with the official plan. Second, a definition of secondary use has been added that limits the secondary use of dwelling units as an STRA to 92 days or less in a calendar year. So that would mean that a licensed STRA could be used as a short-term rental accommodation for 92 days and still be considered as a secondary use to the main residential use of the property. In the bylaw, an offense has been created, demerit points have been outlined, and AMPS penalties provided if the unit is rented in excess of 92 days. Since the bylaw was last before council in August, I received some comments from the public and from our own staff, and those have resulted in two amendments to the bylaw. The first amendment being proposed is to amend the age of a child staying with a parent that does not count toward the occupancy of the unit. So the occupancy is basically 2 persons per bedroom to a maximum of 8 persons, and the age of a child is proposed to be amended from 2 years of age to 12 years of age. And in the report, there's a chart that outlines the result of survey work that was done on various municipal bylaws, looking at the age of children that would be exempt from counting as part of the occupancy. and 12 years of age seemed to be a reasonable number. That was the most common of the municipalities surveyed. The second amendment is a recommendation from the fire chief, is that an application for an STRA license, that the applicant indicate on the site plan the location of the road and the driveway access to the property on the site plan, so that could be evaluated by the fire department when the application is reviewed. So those two amendments, in addition to the amendments that I mentioned before, were also included in the draft bylaw. Staff are recommending that the draft bylaw be placed on the township engagement platform for a period of 2 weeks to receive comment from the public, and that the bylaw return to council for consideration on July 15th with any recommended changes. The other part of the bylaw outlines implementation and enforcement approaches with respect to the bylaw, and staff are seeking direction from council with respect to the enforcement of the bylaw. And what's being recommended is that the option 4 be the option selected by council, and that the bylaw would be implemented immediately, which means that the township would start taking applications immediately from legal operators, and that legal operators have to be licensed within 2 months of adoption of the bylaw, and that illegal operators must become legal and licensed within 6 months of adoption. So that's what's recommended. In the report is a detailed implementation approach which outlines how notices will be sent to the list of properties that have been identified already as STR operators, how we'll notify the public generally on our website and other communication means to indicate that the program is the licensing program is now in place. Your Worship, that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions that members of council may have.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Vandevancourt. Members of council, any questions at this time? Deputy Mayor Lavoie?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through you to Mr. Vandevancourt. When you stipulate illegal operators within 6 months, just for clarification, will those illegal operators be notified immediately when the bylaw comes into effect, and that's when the 6 months start, or how and from where is it measured, and how do they get notification?
Through your worship, thank you for the question. The intent is to notify the illegal operators immediately following passage of the licensing bylaw. So through our third party, we have all the municipal addresses, contacts, etc. And the plan is to notify everybody that we have an address for, that the bylaw is now in full force and effect, and they need to either to stop advertising or to apply for a zoning amendment to make their properties illegal.
Supplemental?
Yes, thank you very much. And for clarity as well, that would be the zones that are not the zones that are where it's currently permitted, such as the V1, and also those persons who have, by way of zoning bylaw amendment, either through legal non-conforming use or some other instrument that's come into force. So the people who might be in the residential zones, such as R1 or Lakeshore Residential or restricted residential service, those would be the zones that would get notified that they're operating illegally if they're advertising.
Through your worship, yes. So a different notice would be sent out to those property owners that the zoning on their property does permit short-term rental. And 90 Highland Drive would be an example of that. There's a number of units in that development. and they would be required to submit a license application and be licensed within 2 months of the passage of the bylaw. So they would be sent a different notice, but they don't have the situation where they're not legal from a land use standpoint.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Councillor Bard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mr. Vadaboncourt. There was a section in there that referenced like the whole township permitted or not permitted. So just for some clarity for me, somebody who doesn't advertise on Airbnb but is breaking what those who would advertise and have a license, would they be subject to some of these AMPS penalties? Like if they had too many cars on their property but they're not advertising, so if that makes sense.
Thank you, through you, your worship. So the licensing bylaw would apply across the municipality, and the bylaw applies to commercial operators, and that's defined by those that advertise. So if you're advertising a short-term rental, then you are subject to the licensing bylaw. If you do not advertise, then you're below that threshold. You're not subject to the licensing bylaw, but you're subject to all the other nuisance bylaws that exist in the municipality. So if there was a situation where cars were overflowing on the municipal street, or there was other issues, you'd be subject to the nuisance bylaws that the municipality has. You're just not regulated through the licensing bylaw.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it's you know, I think it's a wise move to give 2 weeks to get public comments on this matter on licensing, in order that we can make any changes that you may seem fit for the 15th of July before passing. I think that's because at the end of the day, we are elected by the public to represent the public, and it's fair that we want them to be engaged in this as much as possible. The one thing that I would maybe, I'm sure we'll get some feedback, consider is advertising doesn't need a period of time to stop. So I think, you know, the period of time for them to becoming compliant or to be compliant and stop advertising doesn't necessarily need to be what's in option, is it 3? The recommend option 4. So I think, you know, maybe that could be tightened up, because that is the threshold that triggers to commercial short-term rentals versus a casual cottage rental. So you know, that would be something that I'm sure we'll get feedback on, and we can deal with on the 15th. And then I see your card. Okay. So yeah, I always look at you before we move to anything else, because you always would like, I know, bring value as usual. So, but anyway, I think the other thing that was strong and clear from my observation of the public meeting, the biggest concern seemed to be focused on residential zones and the commercial operations existing in residential zones to have a net negative impact on the safety and character of a neighborhood. So I think that's something we will try and work out and to find the best solution forward. But it is, like I said, it is important for the public to engage in the feedback time of the licensing bylaw, so that we can get it as perfected as possible. And I will now go to Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Well, thank you very much. Sorry if I was a little too insistent with my request to speak card. I just wanted to propose, perhaps based on the fact that we do want to put the licensing bylaw out for comment on our engagement platform for a further 2 weeks, that perhaps we amend the motion in a manner that would reflect that we would adopt the licensing bylaw in the July meeting, because I think as it stands presently, the motion is proposing that we adopt it at this meeting.
Yeah, I believe that is correct. And would you like to comment, Mr. Van Voncourt?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just the recommendation is that the bylaw return for consideration at the July 15th meeting. So that would be the bylaw. The other part of that recommendation deals with the enforcement strategy, which I think the Deputy Mayor is referring to, if I understand.
Well, I think the document I'm looking at in the agenda has the 5 points in it, which include the adoption of it. Oh, I see what you're saying, right? Yes. Okay, thank you. And I tend to agree with the Mayor's comments. I mean, for the parties that are advertising in residential zones, presumably they've been advertising for many years now, and presumably they have an inventory of reservations set out ahead of them, which they would have to work down in any event, and it may be for as long as 6 months. And I don't know whether Granicus can assist with determining the inventory of future reservations, insofar as we're proposing that 92 days or some similar number of days, we must be counting them somehow. So to that extent, I would think we have information that could be helpful in the enforcement process. And I also wonder whether when we achieve compliance with some of the operators, that maybe some of the, if it's possible to stipulate different time periods for secondary use based on zone. Because there are some zones where the summer is the only or peak activity, to the extent that 92 days would cover all of basically June, July, and August, which a lot of people are anticipating perhaps using their cottage disturbance-free, and they might be met with a stream of renters over that time period. So I don't know if we can give any consideration to zoning in particular when contemplating the number of days, and I think we've received a number of comments around the age of around the use of the age of 12 as not counting, and we might want to contemplate some conversation about that at the next meeting. So those are my comments, and thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
No, thank you very much, and I agree. I think the important piece here is for the public to provide feedback. We're a council that answers to the residents of the township, and we need your feedback on this in order that we can make the best decision, as no different than we need the feedback from the operator. So it would be nice to get feedback from both parties in order to find the most amicable solution, but I know there's been very limited feedback from the operators to date, but we may get something now because the information report with all the submissions has been made public. So, and I'll now, CIO Benz, would you?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. I think we're just looking for direction based on some of the discussion around the public consultation. Deputy Mayor, you were alluding to the 5-point motion, and I think Mr. Vadaboncourt clarified that the way the motion is crafted now is that pending the adoption of the licensing bylaw, council directs staff to implement the bylaw immediately and enforce licensing requirements as recommended in the report. And council has had some discussion about the consultation. So just looking at what the direction of council is, if you are comfortable with the language as presented, or if the motion is to be amended to seek public comment on both the bylaw and the implementation options and it come back.
I think both items will be coming back, And I think, you know, we need to have a final input from the public, which includes, you know, residents and operators, for a chance to provide feedback before we pass a final bylaw and in regards to both items.
Okay, if we could maybe have a minute just to
amend.
draft the motion, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, the report would be to be received. Number 2 would be the same as outlined in the report. Number 3 would be that the public be provided the opportunity to comment on the draft licensing bylaw and implementation options for a 2-week period to conclude on July 8. And then the fourth, the final comment would be the draft STRA and B&B establishing licensing bylaw and implementation options returned for consideration at the July 15 meeting. If that is sufficient with the mover and seconder, which is Councillor Hutchison and Deputy Mayor Lavoie, I can put it on the floor. Thank you. Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that 1 DS 2026-064, George Fedaboncourt, Manager Planning, Special Projects, Short-Term Rental Accommodation, STRA, and Bed and Breakfast, B&B Establishments, Licensing Bylaw, proposed amendments be received. 2, that Council receive the proposed amendments to the draft STRA and B&B Establishments licensing bylaw as outlined in DS 2026-064. 3, that the public be provided the opportunity to comment on the draft licensing bylaw and implementation options for a 2-week period to conclude on July 8, 2026. And 4, that the draft STRA and B&B establishments licensing bylaw and implementation options return for consideration at the July 15, 2026 council meeting.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that is carried. So I guess in closing, I want to, you know, those who do watch council meetings, I would encourage all parties to provide their comments, because without your comments, we can't build the best solution. So I think that's important, and we're giving everyone an opportunity now over the next week and change or 2 weeks to provide comment in order that we can come back and hopefully move things forward on the 15th. Okay, so does someone want to bring Councillor Shell back, and we'll move to, we've done 12A, and we will move to 12B, Madam Clerk, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Excuse me. Welcome back, Councillor Shell. So we're now at item 12B under reports of municipal officers for information only. Members of council, the floor is open for discussion on 12B, which is the manager development engineering report on security reduction request of Diamond Valley Estate subdivision. I think it's fairly straightforward, but if there's any questions, Camille has made himself available. If there's any questions on this matter? No? Okay, so Camille, thank you for making yourself available. Your report seems to be very informative and complete, so there, we have no questions. And that motion will be passed with all the other ones under 12. So now we're at 12C. Director Spagnell, would you like to provide a summary and comments on this matter, please?
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw and Council. The report on Council's agenda is really it's a compilation of the comments received at the short-term rental accommodation public meeting that was held on June 11th.
Excuse me?
Okay. Sorry, Councillor Shell.
I didn't see that in this report that it was about short-term rentals.
Okay.
I'll need to excuse myself again.
So just announce that you've recused yourself and the reason why, and then that way it's on the record, that's all.
Yes, I excused myself because I own and operate an illegal short-term rental.
Okay. No, thank you, sir. Okay, so just hold 1 second, please. Sorry for the interruption. Mr. Spagnell, you can continue, please.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. So the information report that's on Council's agenda is really a compilation of all the comments that were received at the June 11th public meeting, which was a public meeting to consider a township-initiated rezoning process for 10 properties. The purpose of the report is really to provide those comments as a documented matter of the public record. Township staff continue to receive comments from interested residents, stakeholders, either in objection to the applications or in support, which are being forwarded to council for consideration. The plan is to bring a report to the July 15th council meeting, which will include staff analysis of the official plan policies to provide some form of a recommendation for council's consideration and to measure the ability of those properties to meet the criteria listed in the official plan. Right now, the staff recommendation is really for council to receive the report, and there was no real action proposed as part of any of the staff report. It's really information just to document the comments and the themes that were received through that public meeting process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spagnell. Members of council, is there any questions with Mr. Spagnell? Deputy Mayor Lavoie?
Yes, perhaps you already said this, perhaps it's in the report, but is there a time at which the opportunity to comment will close?
Through Mayor Greenlaw to Deputy Mayor Lavoie. The opportunity to provide comment will not close. I mean, we will continue to receive comments. For the purposes of this report, it's just to document what was received through the public meeting. So as comments are received, they will continue to be forwarded on to council for review and consideration. However, in any subsequent staff report, there will be reference to various themes that were included in the comments, and this staff report will most likely be appended to that. But I think the key is that the comments will continue to be vetted through staff. Staff will review them, and they will be forwarded on the council for consideration up until we get to the point of a report on the July 15th agenda.
CEO Benz?
If I could just clarify for the public as well, that there will be a report that's coming on the 15th of July. So as per any agenda item, it would follow the regular procedural in terms of comment on that report as it becomes public.
And just for clarity for the public, because I understand, and that I think that's where the deputy mayor was going. What is the date that those submissions have to be put in on the recommendation report to come back to council on the 15th.
Mayor Greenlaw, from staff's perspective, there would not be a cutoff date with respect to that report specifically, because the report won't provide an account of all the comments received after the fact. That correspondence will be relayed directly to council and through staff. Really, the comments can be received up into the July 15th date.
Okay. Supplemental?
Yeah, I just think it's important to stipulate to those who may want to comment early, otherwise they won't be taken into contemplation either by staff or ultimately by council when they make their decision, if it arrives at a time after which one could reasonably be anticipated to incorporate those ideas into the decision.
Mayor Greenlaw, through you to Deputy Mayor Lavoie, I would suggest, let me just looking at my calendar here. I would suggest the week of July 6th or July 8th, I would say, would be the last day to have that actively considered within the report. That's pretty much right up until when staff would be drafting the report and providing any recommendations. So to my mind, staff would be reviewing those. As I said, they wouldn't be accounted for in the report, but we would be receiving those, and those would be considered as part of any recommendation report. Yeah, and CEO Bins reminded me as well is that there is a commenting period at the start of the meeting for anything as it relates to anything on the agenda for that July 15th date.
Okay, thank you. So just, I like to be precise. So you said 6 or 8. So do we want to just saw it off at 7?
Mayor Greenlaw, I think July 8th would be fine.
Okay, thank you. You're very gracious. Okay, is there any other comments in regards to this matter? Then, if not, then we'll move on. Madam Clerk?
With council would like to pass a motion to receive this report due to the declaration, and then we can, thank you.
Because we made the...
Thank you. Moved by Bard, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that report 12C is listed under item 12, reports of municipal officers for information only, be received.
All in favor? That is carried. And if someone wants to ask Councillor Shell to come back in, that'd be great. Thank you, CEO Bins. And then we'll go to 12E, Madam Clerk. But just, I guess we'll wait until, if we can wait for Councillor Shell. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay. We're now at item 12E. Members of council, the floor is open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments in regards to Ms. Scheffel's treasurer statement development charges activity as of December 31st? Staff's doing a great job of reports. There's no questions. Is there anything you would like to comment or add at this time?
If I could, maybe, Mr. Mayor, I think this is just another report that we now have to, the finance team does have to generate. So I just wanted to highlight that, and certainly more accountability on those elements, and you will see this on an annual basis with more detail moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, it's not just another report, it's another great report.
Yeah. Can I ask one
Yes,
question?
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I really feel badly that staff is not being asked questions in this regard, so I'll offer one. Do the development service charges and the accumulation of the reserves, are they able to cover the obligations that they're meant to cover? Or is that beyond the scope of the report?
I can't give you a really precise answer, but like the study is done at a point in time, and when you think about escalation and just some of the volatility in pricing, it does change quite regularly. So although there are provisions for escalation, it probably doesn't net, but the objective is to get it as close as we can so that we're optimizing the funding that we're receiving through development to pay for development, because I think we've talked about this in budget. On the capital side, the notion is that development pays for the development related infrastructure, and then the new development is supposed to pay for the incremental service level adjustments, but that side of the equation isn't necessarily balanced either.
Thank you.
Okay. There's no other questions. Then, Madam Clerk, do we want to, can we have a motion for the items that we have not passed already under item 12, reports of municipal officers for information only, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the reports as listed under item 12, reports of municipal officers for information only, with the exception of 12C, which was voted on separately, be received.
All in favor? That is carried. We're now on to reports and announcements of members of council. Are there any updates from members of council as township representatives with our partners and agencies, or announcements? The deputy mayor has something coming. There you go, sir.
Yeah,
the mic's all yours.
Thank you very much. So I did want to just give a brief couple of points on the county council meeting. There was a couple of important discussions that took place. First of all, I think there is an excellent report on the Heart Hub development that is worth reading up on. It's the Heart Hub here has really stepped up, and they're opening up for business. And I would like to say, that it's something to pay attention to, because it's definitely a different kind of model to answer this issue of homelessness or perpetual homelessness and the ongoing addiction issues that prevail in leading to those. That's a very important social issue. And how recidivism will be answered in terms of people who go through the process but end up back on the street. So I think it's important to read that. There are more than 80,000 homeless people in the province of Ontario, and it's just becoming a bigger issue. And I think society is always judged by how it treats its least fortunate people. So with that, there was county council itself and its governance became quite a conversation as well. The issue being that because of the reduction of county council, and also because there's Bill 100, which saw also the reduction of other county and regional sizes, and the stipulation or the possibility that the provincial government would be appointing wardens and chairs. What's important about that is the provincial government has broadly indicated that they will be appointing the next chair of Simcoe County. The other thing that's being adopted or could be modified is the weighted vote. Simcoe County has had a weighted vote for some time. This current council had managed to change the weighted vote so that it applied to governance matters only, or matters of important financial consequence. We don't know where it's going to go. County doesn't know where it's going to go right now, and the weighted vote could change as well. currently the weighted vote as it stands right now, if the chair were to receive a vote, would mean that 3 municipalities of the 16 municipalities would be in a position to govern and make laws for the entire county. This is something that I think everybody needs to think about, but nonetheless, it's a situation that we'll be faced with. So I think we'll appear to, there's no known outcome or pathway currently. County Council will be coming back through their governance committee with more recommendations to be adopted at County Council in the upcoming months. So it could get right down to the wire in terms of when the elections are and what the actual structure of the Simcoe County governance will be. There was also a very important discussion, and somewhat lively at times, with regard to the Simcoe County Hospital Alliance and the money that Simcoe County contributes to that hospital alliance. Of course, the hospitals are a matter for provincial funding. Simcoe County is fairly unique insofar as they give approximately $3 million per year and have done so for about the last 10 years or so to its 5 hospitals and a 6th hospital, which is South Lake, which is actually in York region. York region itself does not contribute to South Lake. This stimulated quite a bit of conversation because there are a lot of people in the southern portion of Simcoe County who were either born at South Lake or treated at South Lake, so they were quite passionate about continuing that support. The support for that hospital was not recommended, and objecting opinions were based on the fact that many people have to go to Sick Kids Hospital and we don't contribute to them either. So this is a very important issue that perhaps residents might want to pay attention to as well, because it's $3 million of Simcoe taxpayer money that's being used for what otherwise might be seen as a provincial obligation. And quite frankly, a lot of people felt that, a lot of councillors felt rather, that the county should stay in its own lane in that regard and not be promoting a circumstance where they adopt more provincial obligations. So that's pretty much the update. Thank you.
Oh. And I do understand that, and the big thing is hospitals is something we all depend upon, because healthcare is paramount to everybody at some point in their time. And county contributes on behalf of the Tier 2 municipalities, and then the urban centers are responsible for generating so much. But just the pressure on the county is going to be substantial, the financial pressure, because Alliston, Orillia, Collingwood are all on the books for new hospitals, and that's their billion-dollar investments. And there's also an Innisfil campus. So that's a lot of money that's being built, because I believe it's the RVH campus that they're building in Innisfil, that was on the books earlier in this term. So it's going to put financial strain, and it's tough, and I don't want to pick on the province, but it's a provincial matter, healthcare. So as the deputy said, we all need to stay in the lane, because I know county and the municipalities try to chip in, and everything we chip in, the province then says, okay, we're going to let you pick up that financial burden moving forward. So, we need to be cautious, and I do think we have to recognize the Heart Hub and the great work that they've done. And the thing is, with the model of the Heart Hub in Barrie, it's not just a Barrie issue. It will affect and help Barrie out with a big problem that they're facing right now. But this Heart Hub will also work in dealing with the homeless and issues outside to the other areas like Midland and Collingwood. So it's an evolved model. I give them credit, because they are trying to think outside of the box in order to find the best way to deal with this solution, knowing that it's not centristically based upon just urban centers themselves. So a lot of great work, and the concern I think with the deputy and I have is there's only one other meeting before county council goes lame duck. And that's a virtual meeting in August. So there is no meeting in July, and there's a lot of big issues that need to be dealt with. And it's important that we have clarity as to how county is going to be governed moving forward in the next term. And there just is, the information's not there. There's more questions than answers right now. And hopefully the province can forward that information and make things more accessible, so we're not worrying about what could happen. And so anyways, okay, so is there any other comments or reports from agencies or partners? No? Okay, so we are now at 13B. Deputy Mayor, would you like to provide a summary? Well, no, that's on the cannabis.
Yes, thank you very much for that. I did want to bring forth a verbal matters which pertains to two items in particular, one being the odor that can be escaping from indoor growing facilities, and it is regulated by the federal government, Health Canada in particular. Health Canada, of course, being way upper tier, is not necessarily responsive to the needs of the community because they're not represented directly by the community. And I think that as council, we have an obligation to ensure the safe and undisturbed community environment. And it's important because this odor of cannabis is a strong odor, and it is disruptive, and it is a commercial operation. And we are facing issues with commercial operations running into or up against our settlement areas, and this is in our residential areas. And I think it's something we need to address. So what I'm proposing is that staff prepare a report to review potential amendments to existing bylaws or the development of a new bylaw to regulate nuisance odors from indoor cannabis operations that could be enforceable through the AMPS and associated service level considerations. In addition to that, I think, we did spend quite a bit of time and quite a bit of money over the last few years with the emergence of cannabis operations rather suddenly, and municipalities were universally, in some cases, had to deal with suddenly having growing operations outdoors or indoors. So I'm suggesting that that staff also be directed to review and incorporate proper setbacks from settlement area boundaries, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, and any other sensitive areas, because we do have at least one public school that's out on a county roadway, not near any residential facility. So any sensitive use at all to be incorporated into our comprehensive zoning bylaw update. So just to market for that update, which will be taking place in 2027. So with that, I think there's a motion prepared, and I believe Councillor Bard is going to second that motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, excuse me, could you read the motion?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the verbal information presented by Deputy Mayor Lavoie re impacts of cannabis production be received. 2, that staff prepare a report to review potential amendments to existing bylaws or the development of a new bylaw to regulate nuisance odors from indoor cannabis operations that could be enforceable through AMPS and the associated service level considerations. 3, and that staff be directed to review and incorporate appropriate setbacks from settlement area boundaries and other sensitive land uses as part of the comprehensive zoning bylaw update.
Thank you very much. I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Opposed? See none. Oh, no, sorry.
Is it possible to have a discussion?
Yeah, no, sure.
I'm just concerned about the time and money expenses that we would be putting forward to fight the federal government. You know, we've already spent a lot of money in the past, and I just don't know how, you know, extensive we want to continue. I can't see you saying to these facilities that they've got to move to another location, and if that were the case, if they move into another location, where would that location be where there would be no residents around them? You're going to dump them on somebody else where there's just one or two houses? I just don't understand it.
No, I'll let the deputy respond if
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. We would not be engaging in a dispute with the federal government. The idea is, and we did have a meeting, the mayor and myself, with residents in the Oro Station area, where about 35 of them showed up, indicating that they were seeking some assistance with regard to cannabis odors escaping the facility in that area. Now, the facility is obligated not to release odors, but the timeline for the federal government to respond to that kind of complaint is somewhat lengthy, and they typically only collect the information for the purposes of determining how many complaints there are against the license. So when the license comes up for renewal, they may or may not take notice of it and do something or not do something. So I wanted to see a situation where we could bring it into and at the provincial level, the province will not enter into prosecutions for the growing of cannabis in indoor facilities, providing it's only a growing facility. They will enter into prosecutorial actions if there are processing things. So if people are making gummies or any downstream processing of cannabis for medical purposes. So it unfortunately ends up leaving it in the hands of the municipality who is entitled under the Municipal Act to form nuisance regulations, as it does for any other type of activity. And certainly I think that the problem that we ran up against with the Oro Station situation is that the facility was allowed to situate within 200 meters of a settlement area. So in order to avoid one setting up, let's say, 200 meters or 100 meters from, Horseshoe Valley or Sugar Bush or something like that, where we, would have disturb a rather large settlement area. The idea is that for outdoor growing operations as well as indoor, that they would be situated far enough away. Indoor shouldn't be a problem because they don't need a particular grade of agricultural land in order to grow, but there should be enough suitable agricultural land for outdoor cannabis growing operations in this rather large geographical area that we have for outdoor growing operations anywhere else, but let's say within 2 kilometers of a settlement area. So not if somebody has a agricultural rural residence, we're not suggesting that it be 2 kilometers from that. So just settlement areas themselves, such as East Oro or anywhere else.
Yes, no, and I think what he's saying is like there are setbacks already to residential homes for pig farms, chicken farms under OMAFRA, but what we're saying is to settlement areas in communities which aren't agricultural rural residential lots, they would conform with OMAFRA, but it's a larger population basis of having a collective negative impact is what the deputy, I think, is introducing. So you had a supplemental?
Yes, thank you for those comments. Maybe this would be something for planning to comment on. We've already given these companies, these people, permission to grow.
Well, but that's
So
not,
there would-
that's not, and I understand what you're looking at, but that is not the purpose of what he's bringing forward. It's about protecting, moving forward, the ones that are here and they're already established, they would be grandfathered in accordance to the new policy moving forward. But I think what we're trying to do is put a policy in place that protects from future grow ops moving here to operate where they could have a negative impact.
If it's identified as that, then yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that in the motion. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I know we diverted. Do we have to re-vote on the motion? But I believe we voted on it. It passed.
Correct.
Okay, so we are now at the consent agenda, which there are no items on it, and there's no communication petitions, and there's no notice of motions. So we are now at item 17, which is our bylaws. Members of council, are there any comments or questions in regards to this bylaw? Then can we have a draft motion, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-066 be passed in open council on the 24th day of June, 2026.
All in favor? That is carried. We have no closed session items to clean up, so can we have a draft motion for the confirmation bylaw, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-068, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on Wednesday, June 24th, 2026, be passed in open council on the 24th day of June, 2026.
All in favor? That is carried. And before we call adjournment, I want to let everyone know that next Wednesday is Canada Day in Hawkstone, so there'll be a parade and activities following after at the community hall. So I encourage everyone to come out. It's an amazing little parade in the village of Hawkstone, and you know, it's a great time to come out and see everybody, and let's hope for good weather. And other than that, Madam Clerk, that's all I have to say. So you can, if we could have a motion to adjourn, that would be great.
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 6:34 p.m.
All in favor? And that is carried. And everyone have a great long weekend. And I'm sure some of you, it'll be a very long weekend. So have a great long weekend and happy Canada Day. And